Princess here, and I hope you're doing very, very, very well. I apologize for any sniffling or weird sounds. I have a bit of a cold. It's not COVID. I tested myself. But I'm a little stuffy and under the weather, but I really wanted to get this video recorded, so let's get started. This is upsetting, but it's not as graphic as some of my other cases, so yeah, but it is emotional, and I will acknowledge that people will have different opinions on this case. I have a different opinion than some other people who have covered the case, and I take a lot of issue with their coverage. I don't know how in depth I'm going to go. I'm just going to share what I have, and if you wanted more information, you can always listen to their podcast, but I did not like how they handled things, and I thought they were a little bit sketchy. Anyways, Elaine Park, she disappeared January 28th. She's been missing since 2017. She's 5'6" and 125 pounds. She has brown hair, and at the time of her disappearance, she had blonde on the ends. She was often wearing a necklace with the letter E on it. When last seen, Elaine was wearing a sweatshirt, jean shorts, though possibly gray sweatpants. Elaine deals with chronic depression and thus is considered an endangered missing person. Some potentially identifiable characteristics. Elaine has ear and nose piercings, as well as tattoos, one of a dagger and flowers, located on her right arm, a cow skull and moth on the left arm, and a rose on her left shoulder. About Elaine's life. Elaine was born September 24th, 1996. Elaine Park is a creative person and aspiring actress. Interestingly enough, her mother, Susan Park, worked as an actress. According to Merck Docs, when Elaine's parents divorced, her father had wanted to sign a form allowing him to revoke his parental rights and cut all ties with both his children. This never happened, but this helps you get an idea the kind of parents Elaine grew up with. Elaine and her mom, on the other hand, seemed to have a pretty rocky relationship, where neighbors reported hearing them fighting frequently. Prior to her disappearance, Elaine had been living at home with her mother, Susan, in La Crescenta, California, an area of North LA. Elaine attended Crescenta Valley High and was social and outgoing. People tended to gravitate towards her, and she made friends quite quickly. Overall, she had a pretty big friend group. She was even the captain of her cheerleading squad. She also performed in dance groups. She was described as being a creative type with artistic dreams. She created raps, acted in minor roles in TV shows and movies like Crazy Stupid Love, Role Models, ER, Mad TV, and Desperate Housewives. She rapped and wrote spoken word poetry as well. She was an artist, poet, and thespian. While she did attend Pierce College in LA, she had dropped out around the time she disappeared and had also recently lost her job. She was working in a restaurant, so some say she dropped from school for the time being due to financial reasons. Outside of college and work, Elaine had aspirations in art and wanted to be an actress. Romantically speaking, Elaine had been seeing a man named Divine irregularly, sort of off and on, and was with him the night she was last seen. Divine, or Div Compere, is the son of a successful businessman by the name of Shakim Compere. He and his family reside in a fancy gated community in Calabasas, California. Divine's father, Shakim Compere, along with Queen Latifah, founded 1995. He was an executive producer for numerous TV shows, many of which were associated with Queen Latifah. Elaine and Divine dated between November 2016 up until the time she went missing. Additionally, July 2015, Elaine was reportedly raped backstage of the Orange County Observatory. She was at a concert to see Father and Playboy Cardi with her friend Daisy. She and Daisy were drinking, and Daisy could see that she was visibly intoxicated, but decided to leave her backstage with the men since she wanted to go see the concert. Elaine was also under the influence of Xanax, and she was drunk, which made it challenging for her to stand up or walk straight. She was gang raped by several men backstage. Possible band membership involvement in this incident. Initially, Elaine had no recollection of this event, nor had she been aware that the incident was recorded by the participants in her nightmarish assault. Justice for Elaine. Supposedly, Daisy said Elaine had a bad feeling she had hooked up with someone in the bathroom that night at the concert. Sorry. However, somehow Elaine either saw the video itself or recalled the gang rape event that took place. The Divine breakup. Several weeks prior to going missing, Elaine had broken it off with Divine, saying she loved him enough to let him go, expressing that she needed to spend the new year investing in herself. So I'm gonna grind and spend time alone until I can get myself real right. We can both improve and do better, you know? I appreciate everything you've done for me. You've really taught me a lot about myself and showed me my value when nobody did. And I'm never going to forget that. I wish you knew how I see you through my eyes. My heart is a real special place for you. According to Divine, the breakup was out of the blue and took place while he was in Utah. His response, "Fuck dude, I can't lose you. You're all I've got right now. I didn't want to hear that. I'm fighting for you. That's not what I want. If this is something you truly want like that, I can't control that, but I don't want this to happen this way." Divine says he was aware of the event that happened and the assault she went through and was supportive of her and her well-being. So it is noted that Elaine moved out of Daisy's home and back in with Zeus in December 2016. So not too terribly long before her disappearance. She also stopped communication with friends like Daisy, who she thought did not have her back that night and failed to protect her when the rape took place. That's some heavy shit. December 28th, 2016, a month prior to vanishing, Elaine openly tweeted about her sexual assault. Nobody assesses things that are never brought to focus. Ladies, be sexually liberal, embrace and love, just put a price on it, value yourself. As for the rape, the people involved know damn well who they are, but I don't fight fire with fire. I've forgiven, so now I can move on. I was so ashamed to be sexual in any way, to express myself, but damn, I'm cute as hell. And it's time I treated myself like the queen that I am. It was ultimately my decisions that resulted in my mistakes. I blame no one. The important part is I can finally take care of myself right. The recent depths I've realized made me come face to face with myself, and I had to accept that if I don't stand up for myself and women, nobody else will. I'm not making it a legal matter because the more important weight of the situation is that I stay true to myself and find myself justice. I understand rape is a word people don't like seeing on timelines, but awareness is the first step to healing and progressing before anything. I used alcohol as a way to numb myself and began lowering myself to how I was that night. But I realized my mistakes don't determine character. It was up until this year that I realized I was losing my peace of mind, and the only way to strengthen myself is to forgive myself and shed light I was raped and nobody gave me closure about it. And I didn't remember it, so I didn't remember the pain. I just dropped it and never spoke. There has been speculation amongst Elaine's friends that this rape might have been the reason for her disappearance. I feel that's a strong possibility given that she remembered the experience or saw the video. Something prompted her to write about it not long before she went missing. Some believe her tweets alluded to seeking justice, which might have threatened the men who assaulted her or made them feel at risk of exposure for their heinous behavior, especially given the major chance these men had careers in the music field at stake if their actions were found out or publicized. Then don't record video footage of your crimes, dumbasses. Really, her tweets have been a way for her to process and discuss the experience, but this does not mean that the men involved did not feel threatened by the tweets. So 2 days prior to her disappearance, Elaine sent her mom her car's location. After she ended up stranded, her car empty, gas and battery dead in the process. That was the last Susan saw Elaine physically, though she had been in the home the following day at least. Elaine and Susan last communicated January 27th of 2017. Was the quick pay of $20 from Susan to Elaine, presumably for gas. Elaine had promised to send her the money that evening at 6 p.m., but this never happened. Her mom asks why she had not paid her back, and Elaine asks for more time until later in the evening to repay her. So the movie, Elaine and Div saw the return of Xander Cage the night prior to her disappearance. It's 10:45 p.m. showing at the AMC Promenade. Video footage supports this showing them being picked up by an Uber at 10:20 that night. So, January 27th, 2017, while in an Uber, Elaine sent her mother a text message telling her she was on her way to the movies with the Divine at roughly 10 p.m. She and Divine arrived at his home by 12:43, 1 a.m. or so via Uber. Security footage of his driveway confirms this. According to Div, Elaine woke up at roughly 4 a.m. in response to a panic attack that she shook, began to sing, and was behaving oddly in general. Though he reportedly tried to calm her down, she managed to dress and vacate his home 2 hours later by 6:04 a.m. Security footage corroborates this story. She is seen approaching her car, appearing calm. Security cameras at the community show her car leaving the neighborhood at 6:07 a.m., though we cannot see who is driving the car, just the license plate. The footage itself says 7:14 a.m., though, and the 7 is likely attributed to time change and that she has actually left at 6:14. Different sources say different things about that time. Still, if this was the case, 9 minutes from her car to driving off the premises is longer than it would have taken her to reach the gate and depart. So they had a plate reader at his neighborhood. The plate reader from the community confirmed her car leaving the premises, minutes later after she, got to her car. Many say it was not 100% clear who was leaving in the vehicle, because you can't really see that in the footage. But yeah, we do not see Divine leave his house at all at this time. Also at 6:28 a.m., Elaine shares her location with Divine's phone using the Share My Location iPhone feature. This occurred around the time she would have arrived at the location her car was found at. It was by Coral Beach, Malibu Seafood Cafe, Coral Canyon, a trail, and an RV park, so it was not a desolate region and is likely someone would have seen something. Also, her car was found 8 miles away from a state park, right? And this state park was where a serial killer had been active during this time. Anthony Ruda, that was arrested in 2018. He shot 10 people, but also was charged with robbery around Calabasas. Though it is unlikely he is responsible for her disappearance. The beach where her car was found is not ideal for attempting to commit suicide. Very flat, and if she had her body would have been found by now. 2 days after Elaine was last seen, neither her mother Susan nor Divine were able to get in touch with Elaine. Despite Susan and Divine's concerns about Elaine, law enforcement told them to call back the next day. As Elaine is an adult, and they said she might not be responding for a different reason than the one they suspected. However, if you are a true crime nerd, like me, then you know that it's the first 24 to 48 hours that are most critical, and much evidence can be lost. As a result, police did not make the official report for her case until Monday, January 30th. Div was ruled out as a suspect by police fairly quickly, given especially how cooperative he had been with authorities. Though Susan was not in agreement with this assessment, Susan thought it would have been helpful for them to search around Div's neighborhood and home, given the fact this is where Elaine was last seen. Well, no shit. February 2nd, 5 days since her disappearance, Elaine's car was discovered, a charcoal gray 2015 Honda Civic, which had been abandoned 20 miles from Divine's home along the Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu. This was 45 minutes from where she was last seen. Within her car were all her belongings: her backpack, laptop, keys, cell phone, and ID. Her car was found with her keys still sitting in the ignition. The battery to the car was dead, and all the doors were unlocked. Police saw no indications of a struggle in the vehicle, nor was there any blood. Thus, police believe she left her car of her own volition. Other sources have claimed that her car was spotted via drones earlier than the date they claimed her car was discovered, though I don't think this was valid, but I believe I added the source in my link so you can look and see what you think. So they used cadaver dogs, bloodhounds, drones, ATVs, and a dive team in the search for Elaine Park. The dive team searched the cliffs, shore, and portions of the ocean, but there was no success. This is over by Coral Beach. Police believe she committed suicide, but her family is really not convinced of this. Elaine's mother, Susan Park, said, "It's completely a mystery, unimaginable. How can someone just disappear without a trace?" Since early on, Susan has been offering a reward for details on Elaine's possible whereabouts. Yet, by Elaine's 21st birthday, no new information seemed to be as forthcoming. After becoming frustrated by police response to her daughter's case, Susan hired a PI to look into the case. She hired Jaden Brand, who, like Susan, does not agree with police theories on the case. These being that Elaine probably committed suicide or chose to leave her old life and start over. He also believes foul play may have been involved. Police claim there is no evidence supporting this foul play, and while they don't rule it out, they really have not investigated the possibility at all. While Brandt has offered his materials to police, they still do not consider it worth pursuing. Her family continues to search for Elaine, and Susan has a reward for $140,000 set up for information on her daughter's whereabouts. The case was also covered by To Live and Die in LA, which helped to gain more attention, but a lot of negative attention towards Susan. And I have a lot of issues with their coverage of the case. But again, many believe she committed suicide, and others speculate that she was abducted. Some speculate perhaps Elaine had to pull over after having another panic attack or encountered car issues, and that it was a crime of convenience, where she was attacked and then taken. This might potentially account for the condition her car was in. Her car was having issues with the battery, and she had to borrow money from her mom to pay for gas. Since Pacific Coast Highway is highly populated, many think this theory to be unlikely and an unlikely one. That no one noticed something happening on such a populated highway would be strange. Still, one might ask the same question of the car potentially being dumped, or even if she had committed suicide, why did no one notice any of these things occurring? In an effort to find Elaine and bring her home, her family in August of 2017 offered an award of $250,000 for any information on her security footage Elaine's family released from the night prior to her disappearance. The footage was from 10:20 that evening, showing her walking from the house to her car, as well as an unfamiliar car passing the residence. Park family's hired PI Jaden Brandt, who does not believe this vehicle and the footage to be mere happenstance, particularly since the home resides in a gated community and is within a cul-de-sac. Add to that, not only this, but there was nowhere the car could have been driving to and randomly got lost. According to Jaden, there are no other occupied residences nearby. It wasn't like the car randomly drove down the street or got lost. Both family and investigator believe Elaine was met with foul play, nor do they believe any of the evidence suggests suicide. According to the PI, it's our strong contention that Elaine Park is an involuntary missing person, and that foul play is involved in her disappearance. Still, police suspended their search in February as authorities said no new leads or suspects were found in connection to her disappearance. Despite the reward offered by Susan, nothing turned up. After this, Susan's quoted saying, "I don't know what else to do," the mother said on Friday in a phone interview. "People are saying the money will have people talk, but that didn't happen." Some speculate that Susan took all of Elaine's acting money, and there's a text where Elaine tells her mother she better send the insurance check straight to her and none of the snake shit. But this does not mean she killed her daughter. Some claim Divine and Elaine fought, that it was witnessed by people, but I didn't really find much on this. There are also claims that Sadie and Elaine had been in a car accident. Elaine's mom was insisting she visit the chiropractor again. Some say she wanted her to commit fraud and make money off of this dishonesty. Also, there was reportedly hateful text messages between Elaine and her mother around the time of her disappearance. To live and die in LA. So Rolling Stone writer Neil Strauss hooked up with Incubus guitarist Mike Engzinger, and they wore their t-shirts that said "Find Elaine Park," as did Engzinger's wife. They lived in the area that Elaine went missing, and they decided to appeal to the public for help in the ongoing search. So To Live and Die in LA has said a lot of information, which has caused Elaine's mom to receive a lot of hate, and many accusing her of killing her daughter. However, I disagree with this notion and don't know if I believe that the content covered by the podcast. Feel free to check them out and to draw your own conclusions. But I think he has a lot of financial motive for his words and actions. Do I think her mother did a lot of suspicious things? Yes, fuck yes. She sold her cats, got rid of furniture, and rented out her room. But I did not find much to support their theory that I think leaves me assured of her guilt. But all the evidence is circumstantial, and I don't know why she would go to such lengths that it would take to orchestrate the turn of events for her disappearance and then put so much effort into looking for her daughter. Her grief also looks entirely genuine to me. Dr. Rhonda Hampton assisted with Matrice Richardson case and Matthew Weaver cases. There are phone calls where she was unaware of being recorded by To Live and Die in LA and Strauss. They were being used on the podcast. And she asked, after finding out, that they please take this down. And from what I read, it sounds like her words were taken out of context by the podcast. He also makes a big deal out of Elaine owing her mom money when it was only $20. Susan Park disputes a lot of the content from To Live and Die in LA, and I will attach links to some of this information. Also, her mom, Susan, did hand out flyers and walk around door to door and to businesses. But in To Live and Die in LA, he makes it sound like she didn't. Also, Susan Park agreed to work with Neil Strauss from To Live and Die in LA. After exhaustive efforts towards searching for Elaine turned up nothing thus far. She'd hoped to gain more attention toward her daughter's case through through the exposure of the podcast, as well as hoping to secure more funds for the search as well. More than anything, the case turned towards Susan, and the podcast began to blame it on her. Susan was the person that reported her daughter missing and has been continuously working in an effort to try to bring her home. For a brief period of time, I mentioned Elaine had lived with Daisy. Daisy described Elaine's relationship with her parents when she said, they just didn't, I feel like, care enough, which is sad. Her mom would kick her out a lot. Elaine didn't have keys sometimes because her mom would lock her out, literally change the locks. Her mom would blame her because they're dead. And her separated, describing her mom as controlling and often withheld money from Elaine. Insurance payout. Supposedly, Susan received this over a month following Elaine's disappearance. The insurance payout was in relation to the car accident Elaine was in with Sadie, and that Susan forged her signature. Clarity on the insurance check. While some claim she forged her daughter's signature, others say there's an email and it's shown that a lawyer and power of attorney allowed the release of the $1,600, which was placed in the GoFundMe account for Elaine before being moved to the reward money. When Elaine was supposed to go to the chiropractor, she and her mom got into it about her going out to eat for it beforehand. Some say she did not go to the chiropractor after all. Others say she was late to the appointment. The text messages between her and her mom were very nasty. And in one of the texts from her mom, it read, die, 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 over and over. I think it was like 6 or 8 times that she said it in the text. And there were other hateful things that she said, but that really stuck out to me. I would also say, though, hateful texts do not mean someone committed murder. And it sounds like she genuinely has remorse from the footage I've seen of Elaine's mom appealing to the public. Also, the text exchange from July 2016 was quite a long time before the disappearance, so it's hard to connect the two and say that one caused the other. Supposedly, when police gave Susan back Elaine's belongings, she washed and put them away. Many find this to be very suspicious and indicative of guilt, though not necessarily. Not preserving artifacts, but then why would they be returned if they were not needed? I mean, if they were not needed, isn't that why they got returned? In my opinion. I mean, if they gave it back, it's her choice what she does with it. Also, if they were so sure she did something, wouldn't they have tested the home with luminol? Additionally, it is possible that cadaver dogs do not prove guilt, but maybe were inconclusive. Susan Park also passed a polygraph test. In a news video, you can see Susan handing out flyers and begging for Elaine to come home for a chance to mend their relationship, and she looks genuinely upset. And she says, Elaine, if you're out there, please come home. Please give me a second chance to mend our relationships, she said, according to NBC4. She was accompanied by Emily's Limon, or how you say it, and Sadie Gross, handing out flyers and asking businesses if they've seen Elaine. Also, I read something about an eviction lawsuit filed against Daisy Alvarez and Elaine Park for overdue rent, and it was from June 2016. So, theory. It is speculated that perhaps her on and off boyfriend, Divine, has some involvement in her disappearance, that maybe after she left and security cameras no longer functioned, that he followed her and something occurred, but I don't think that's very likely. Some wonder if maybe he was the one driving all along when the car left his neighborhood, but then how would he have gotten home? Though no argument was ever mentioned by Div, the timeline is a little bit odd. Particularly that it took Elaine 2 hours to dress after she got up. Some speculate her prior ex Lolo might have been involved in her going missing, as he was kind of stalkerish apparently. He also sent her very aggressive texts and got angry when she did not respond. Others theorize it is the mom, which I'm not sure if I believe. However, this is one of the most common beliefs about this case. According to Vine, someone had tweeted about Elaine's rape, so it is possible the man who raped her might have been somehow involved. Some Susan quotes in an article from August 2017. Susan Park is quoted saying, "Losing a daughter is the hardest thing a mother can experience. The uncertainty is the worst part of the not knowing what happened. You would never think you'd see your child's photo on television showing they are missing," she said to Dateline. "Sometimes I just sit there and stare at the wall because I feel so helpless." So I will post the Facebook page in the description. It's Help Find Elaine Park. But if you have any information on her whereabouts, please reach out and call either the Tipline or Glendale Police Department. The Tipline is 1-800-551-3080, and the Glendale Police Department is 818-548-4911. And that is all I have for you today. All of my links will be in the description. It's going to be a bunch. I hope you enjoyed this video and got something out of it. Thank you so much for listening. Like and subscribe for more similar content, and have a lovely evening. Good night.